At the end of the day, it's about being a memory. When my time does come, there's going to be some good stories.
Cue the fucking montage, baby.
Life is a story. Everyone must stand alone. I hear you call my name, and it feels like
Get your special sock out, nerds. It's gonna get good.
when you call my name, it's like a little prayer. Down on my knees, I wanna take you there. In the midnight hour, I can feel your power, just like a prayer. No, I'll take you there.
Of course that co-worker movie Deadpool and Wolverine is part of your intro.
Welcome to the People's Republic of America.
Hey, are you okay?
3.5 on Letterboxd. Deadpool and Wolverine is better than The Godfather and Goodfellas and The Dark Knight.
Judge Clooney and Rob Reiner can suck it.
Hey, man. Are you okay? Seriously, I'm concerned.
Ryan, you are such a Marvel hater. There's no way you gave Deadpool and Wolverine a 3.5.
Fucking man, Levin Borderlands.
I honestly haven't seen you this depressed since Rise of Skywalker. What's going on, man? You good?
I'll be real with you. I'm not in the mood to talk about 2024, especially after finding out one of my best friends died the day before I originally planned to drop this video last week. Normally, I start with the ball drop and I talk about the trends, movies, big events, and pop culture of the year. Something hot to us, something Drake and Kendrick Lamar, something Diddy parties, something Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine making $1 billion, something Brat Summer.
Ooh, Brat Summer.
I can't wait for Donald Trump to execute Pedo Gun and his little dog too for putting Crypto the super dog in his gay woke super flop movie and for him to sign an executive order to restore the Snyderverse.
Yes! Those liberal tears are so beautiful! Trump for life! Suck it, butt faggot! I can say the hard R now. Trump train! Woo woo!
Fuck you, Stan and Ian. 2024 was a very good year. I'm not going to let an election ruin my video. In terms of film output, I was going into 2024 with low expectations. But when films were good this year, they were really fucking good. And when films were really fucking good, they were downright masterpieces. 2024 is a sea change year in film, where we saw people outright reject mediocrity. For example, Francis Ford Coppola finally put out 45 plus years of pop thoughts into the world with Megalopolis to completely empty theaters. What's worse is that I had to see it twice for a planned spoiler alert episode because the power went out during my first screening, and I ended up scrapping that episode due to bad sound quality. Speaking of mediocrity, Sony's universe of Marvel characters is now officially dead. People are starting to want quality films now. This is a year where films like Civil War, Challengers, and Terrifier 3, the latter an unrated splatterfest, were #1 at the box office. Terrifier 3 shipped Joker Folie à Deux worse than the ending of that film. Chances are, if you haven't seen Joker Folie à Deux yet, you probably never will, so I might as well just spoil the ending. People were genuinely pissed that Juror Number 2, a Clint Eastwood film released by his go-to studio Warner Brothers, didn't have a wide release. That is unheard of. We also won the fucking Palme d'Or this year for the first time in 13 years with Anora. USA! Before I begin, these are the ground rules. I'm also adding a new rule. Any film that is 100% generated by AI will not count. Humans only. And now some honorable mentions, movies that didn't quite make the cut, but I still enjoyed.
I finally got to see The Brutalist. It's this year's great movie I'll probably never watch again. If Sing Sing didn't have a rushed third act, I'd be making room on the favorite films list for it.
Heretic would have been in my top 10 if it weren't for the third act. Also, I didn't know Sophie Thatcher and Chloe grew up Mormon. Shout out to the recent A24 zine for pointing that out. Lisa Frankenstein, because fuck Variety. Strange Darling, which also has Kyle Gallner from Red State in it, and forgot to mention that in my Red State video. And I too am showing my love for Juror Number 2. And let's get the franchises out of the way. Shock of all shocks, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Terrifier 3, Doom Part 2, Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, The First Omen, and Smile 2. In the almost made my list category, you know what? Fuck it. I'm adding 5 more to this list. My honorary number 16 is Inside Out 2. So grab your overpriced fuckable novelty popcorn buckets. These are my top 15 favorite films of 2024. Number 15.
Live from UBC Studios in New York City, it's Night Owls with Jack Delroy.
Late Night with the Devil is a super intense film about fame, exploitation, and what people resort to get ratings. David Dastmalchian is given his chance to shine after years of being a reliable character actor, and he delivers an Oscar-caliber performance that won't get him nominated. What makes this film work so well is how it aesthetically looks like an also-ran talk show in the 70s that got defeated by Johnny Carson. You have every guest on the Jack Delroy show playing up their personalities to 1,000 for the cameras. When we do see the demonic possession scene, it is downright horrifying, as Lily comes off as an innocent and precocious teenager. There's also the added will they, won't they between Delroy and Lily's handler, Dr. June Ross Mitchell. As for the AI aspect, yeah, I'm a little forgiving on the indie filmmakers using it. But the same critics going after Late Night with the Devil's use of AI are the same people who go la 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 with fingers in their ears when you bring up the fact that Denis Villeneuve and George Miller both used generative AI in Doom Part 2 and Furiosa respectively, both of which were films released by Warner Brothers, by the way, not a movie that literally had 1 minute and 40 seconds of logos to get on as many movie screens as possible. So yeah, I still love Late Night with the Devil. I just hate critical hypocrisy. Either AI is all good, or it's no good. Number 14.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
A Complete Unknown had the potential to be one of the all-time great biopics, and there were moments where I was ready to call it one of my favorite films of 2024. However, it followed the music biopic formula a little too closely, and it just ended up being pretty good. Saturday Night, on the other hand, is a fucking masterclass on how to use the biopic formula. It's a near real-time film that takes place 90 minutes before the premiere of Saturday Night Live in 1975, which was released 49 years to the day of SNL's premiere. Some people are saying Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the springboard for today's biggest stars in Hollywood right now. Saturday Night is also going to be that springboard as well. This is probably the best ensemble of young talent I've seen in a film all year. Each actor in this film gives 100% to their roles to the point that they become their counterparts. Jason Reitman makes his best film to date, as he has you on the edge of your seat in suspense for a film that, much like Air before it, you already know the outcome for. From Milton Berle whipping his dick out to constant fights between cast members to the pressure Lorne Michaels feels, Saturday Night is a film that I will definitely be calling underrated in 2025. Please bring on more biopics that throw the formula out the window.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line?
Number 13. I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do. Did you know that there was a remake of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead released in 2024? You didn't? That's probably because I'm probably the only person in America who saw it in a movie theater. 95-year-old June Squibb, who played the titular babysitter in that film, gets her first ever starring role in a movie that is hysterical, sweet, and genuinely badass. I'd argue an Oscar for June Squibb for Thelma. She is that good in this film. Loosely based on writer and director Josh Margolin's own grandmother being scammed, he decided to make a movie where his grandmother gets her revenge. I love the fact that we got two tonally different films about people standing up to assholes stealing from little old ladies, except one of them is centered around a little old lady. Thelma actually treats its elderly characters with actual respect and dignity as it explores mortality and aging in a fun and intelligent way. Richard Roundtree, who sadly passed away in 2023, delivers a stellar final performance as the man who lets Thelma use his mobility scooter and just further proves how cool he was right to his dying breath. I also love the fact that Thelma's grandson, played by Fred Hessinger, who would go on to a wildly different role in Gladiator 2, is a fully three-dimensional character that would have been the character that older people would dunk on if this were written by anyone else. And I love that Parker Posey and Clark Gregg are playing these over-the-top helicopter parents. If you want something a little lighthearted, then I highly recommend firing this up on Disney+. I had a great time with this.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line?
Number 12.
To the honeys, getting money, playing.
Did you know that Harper Steele wrote this underrated Robert Goulet sketch? She also wrote the banger Oops, I Crap My Pants. Academy Award winner Will Ferrell could be a very real possibility.
Hi, Editor Ryan here. I originally intended to have this video out on the 18th. If you follow me on social media, you know there's an exact reason why I delayed the video. I was really hoping Will and Harper would have been nominated for Best Documentary Feature. And
I was way off.
I'm an idiot. So pretend this came out on the 18th.
Usually the films that win Best Documentary Feature are the films that tackle a hot-button subject head-on, and, well, the LGBTQ community didn't exactly have a good 2024, with the emphasis on the T. To make matters worse, trans people are more than likely going to get their own crash if Emilia Perez takes Best Picture at the Oscars. Combine that with a comedic legend trying to come to grips with his best friend's transition into becoming a woman, and you have Oscar gold. Will and Harper is both a film that is both a funny road movie and a revelatory documentary about Harper Steele and her transition into womanhood. I also love that we see Will Ferrell reveal that he was somewhat shocked when he talks about the email he received from her. Here's an A-list celebrity actively taking the time to understand what trans people go through on a daily basis. It's that level of compassion that drove me to watch Will and Harper after I watched fucking Am I Racist in a movie theater for a project to be announced. This film is the anti-What is a Woman. What I loved about this documentary the most is the sincere intentions Will Ferrell has in releasing it. This is a celebration of his best friend and his writing partner. For example, Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, just felt like a piece of content James Gunn and Peter Safran put on HBO Max to hype up their Superman movie, whereas Will and Harper felt like it was a story begging to be told via the documentary format. If you haven't seen Will and Harper, check it out on Netflix.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line on it?
Number 11.
What if we just walk away?
Well, now you're starting to talk.
But then I was like, nah.
If you were to pitch me a starring vehicle for the guy who played the stupidly named rapper mid-size sedan in Old, I would have told you, no, that sounds stupid. Shows what I fucking know because Aaron Pierre is a star who was let down by terrible writing. Rebel Ridge is a damning indictment on small-town law enforcement as a man has to prove his innocence and try to bail his brother out, all while being arraigned in this sundown town. I also love the emphasis on Pierre's character specializing in non-lethal means. Also, Don Johnson is an excellent foil to Pierre's character. Saulnier is great at these pot boiler movies where our hero has to find a way to escape. A prime example of good exposition is an officer just straight up reading a Wikipedia page and finding out that Pierre's character is that badass. I had an absolute blast with this film. It's the modern day First Blood, but with a 21st century twist. I highly recommend checking out Rebel Ridge, because this is yet another movie Netflix is fucking burying.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line on it?
Number 10. One of the most fucked yeah physical media announcements of last year was Bound getting inducted into the Criterion Collection with a 4K release. Bound is such a phenomenal debut from the Wachowskis that said to the world that they were a duo to look out for. Love Lies Bleeding is a film that makes a phenomenal double feature with Bound. Rose Glass leveled up on her second feature as you are compelled by this film that looks and feels like a neo-noir set in the 80s with its 1989 setting. Then you have the film's dark and gritty atmosphere that feels as if you would be murdered the millisecond you step foot into this universe. Kristen Stewart gives one of the best performances of her career, and Katie O'Brien is an absolute star. These two have phenomenal chemistry together. This is the anti-Drive Away Dolls, a god-awful film only made because it was directed and co-written by a Coen brother, when if it were written by anyone else, it would have been thrown in the trash. With Love Lies Bleeding, you actively root for Lou and Jackie as the men in their lives do some totally heinous shit, with one of those men being a never better Ed Harris as Lou's dad. Rose Glass masterfully crafts this film and makes you care about Lou and Jackie. This film also proves my theory that if Michael Bay's masterpiece, Pain and Gain, was directed by literally anyone other than Michael Bay with the exact same script, cast, and crew, it would have been a critical darling. I feel Love Lies Bleeding is the most slept-on film of 2024, and it's also my winner for my favorite movie poster of 2024.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line on it?
Number 9. I want to show you a clip from the Garfield movie that actively pissed me off. And you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to spoil the ending. Here is Samuel L. Jackson the cat after moving into John's house, teaching kids how to order stuff on mommy and daddy's credit card from Walmart, with the emphasis on this package from Walmart being shipped by FedEx. The Garfield movie is a cynical corporate product that doesn't even understand what makes Garfield great. Garfield the movie is an objectively better film than this. I lost a little faith in humanity as I watched the beloved comic strip character that I loved as a kid put commercials into a kid's movie. And then there's Flow, the film that is Guillermo del Toro's
Animation is cinema.
Speech come to life. I saw this in Ann Arbor, Michigan in a sold-out crowd to the point that I was in the front row. My faith in humanity was restored when I saw this in a packed theater with kids and adults alike genuinely engaging with a film that has no fart jokes or checked out A-list celebrities phoning in lines in a recording studio. I even overheard a kid say that he liked it better than Moana 2. Flow is a Latvian animated film with no dialogue that is told through body language and animal sounds with a subtle environmental message. I wanted to protect those animals with my fucking life. There's just a pure warmth and sincerity to this film that you just don't see in a lot of modern films. The animation in this film is absolutely stunning. The camera movement's bold and deliberate. It also isn't afraid to scare kids. Flow is one of the most poetic and wonderful surprises of 2024 for both kids and adults alike, and it was totally worth a trip to Ann Arbor to see it.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line?
Number 8. Tex Avery was an absolute comedic genius. I have all 3 of his Screwball Classic sets on Blu-ray. To put it simply, Tex Avery walked so Deadpool and Wolverine could have a oneer killing numerous Deadpools. It's genuinely wonderful that there is a film out there with this brilliant comedic timing, made on a budget of $150,000. A nearly dialogue-free film, Hundreds of Beavers is absolutely genius micro-budget filmmaking, and the very reason I had my festival circuit rule, as this film was technically released in 2022 but didn't see a wide release until 2024. A love letter to silent films, classic cartoons, and even NES platformers, Hundreds of Beavers is the funniest film of the year, as Ryland Bricks and Cole 2's delivers a completely revelatory physical comedy performance as an incompetent drunk tasked to bring beaver pelts to win the love of his life. The fact that I'm using the word revelatory in a comedy film speaks volumes as to how brilliant 2's is. 2's also serves as the co-writer of this film, as this film is truly laugh a minute. Also, is my pick for the best 2 seconds of film in 2024. I just got the Blu-ray. I decided to watch the behind the scenes on this film, and it's just downright inspirational. To see what these people did with such a small budget is just nothing short of wonderful to behold. It's getting harder and harder to make movies, so films like Hundreds of Beavers are totally worth celebrating. If you haven't seen Hundreds of Beavers, it's an easy film to track down. I highly recommend checking this out.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line?
Number 7. You know what grinds my gears? Netflix. Hitman was poised to be the biggest film of 2024 after its festival run ended. Then Netflix stepped in, bought the film, and buried it in its content graveyard. I hope you enjoyed Hitman, because Netflix is now telling screenwriters to hold their viewers' hands because they think you are too stupid to follow along with a movie. Every year, there is a film that serves as a coronation of a new movie star in Hollywood. This year, it is Glenn Powell in Hitman, loosely based on Texan Professor Gary Johnson, who died in 2022 and never killed anyone or slept with a client. Richard Linklater returns to broad comedy as Powell plays Johnson, a master of disguise who decides to protect a woman who pays for him to murder her ex-husband. Glenn Powell and Adria Arjona, who was last seen as Morbius's forced love interest in Morbius, have white-hot sexual chemistry together, and it's a goddamn shame they buried this movie because this is one of Richard Linklater's best films. You could tell that this was a film that everyone had a good time doing. When Glenn Powell slips into each character, there is great acting range coming from him. He's not just playing Glenn Powell in every single character. He has a different facet to each character, and that's what makes him an interesting and exciting actor. I can't wait to see where Glenn Powell's career goes, because it's looking like he's going to become the next Tom Cruise. Just stay away from Scientology. Number 6. It's safe to say that 2024 was a great year in horror. So who better to create a Hitchcockian take on 90s serial killer thrillers than the son of Norman Bates himself, Osgood Perkins? A film with a stellar marketing campaign and a trailer that kept the reveal of Longlegs quiet, Longlegs could have underwhelmed me. Instead, I think it's one of the best horror movies of the 21st century. Longlegs was one of those films that I was so sure would be in my top 5 at the end of the year. That speaks volumes as to how great this year in film was. Perkins keeps you on the edge of your seat as you root for Agent Harker to track down this evil serial killer. But then we get what is easily an all-timer Nicolas Cage performance, a performance that should be nominated for Best Supporting Actor but won't because it's a horror movie. He is only in this film for about 10 minutes, but his presence is felt throughout the entire runtime. But it's Maika Monroe, who plays the autistic-coded FBI agent Lee Harker, who is the beating heart of this film. Add in veteran character actors Alicia Witt and Blair Underwood, and you have one hell of a killer thriller. Perkins is able to nail little facets about this film, be it Longlegs' obsession with glam rock, specifically with the band T-Rex, as the film opens and closes with the song Get It On, in both a text quote and the actual song, or how Perkins frames its chilling opening scene in 133 to capture the claustrophobic nature of this film. Longlegs pays homage to its influences, such as The Silence of the Lambs and Seven, all while being its own thing. Usually when I see a film from a new filmmaker I want to follow, I say I can't wait to see what they do next. But Perkins' next movie is coming out next month. Bring on the monkey. Number 5. Where Civil War was going to rank on my favorite films list was ultimately dependent on who won the election. If it was Kamala Harris, it would have been 6 through 10. Sadly, Trump won, so it's in my top 5. 2024 had a lot of Scene of the Year candidates. But for me, the Scene of the Year is Jesse Plemons doing a favor for his wife Kirsten Dunst and going for the goddamn Oscar with one simple line.
Okay. What kind of American are you?
With this one line, there's an established tension that there are two Americas, just like in real life. America decided to vote for the 34-count felon who was already going back on his campaign promises. This one scene had me on the edge of my seat as you watch as this man guns down two minorities without flinching in front of a mass grave. I get really pissy at people who want Civil War to reflect their personal politics. I'm sorry, focusing this film on the actual war with the main characters espouse Elizabeth Warren talking points while shooting right-wingers is boring to me. Journalism is now more important than ever because if this did happen in real life, the mainstream media would be siding with the Republican government of this film. Look no further than Morning Joe and Mika humiliating themselves on national television as they announced that they were bending the knee to Trump. Look at how Jeff Bezos pulled an endorsement from the Washington Post, where as the owner, he sees the Washington Post slogan, "Democracy dies in darkness," as aspirational. So focusing this film on the photojournalists was absolutely 100% the right call for this film. Also, it narratively makes sense that Texas, a red state, and California, a blue state, would team up. We saw that this year as several Republicans stood up against Trump and lost their political careers to endorse Kamala Harris. But Civil War is also on this list because it's also a genuinely good fucking movie. Something tells me that this film is going to be looked at in the same way Idiocracy is right now. Hell, Mike Judge was being generous in setting Idiocracy in 2505 because Trump is looking to speed run this country to Idiocracy's 2505 setting. If this is Alex Garland's final film as a director, then he went on one hell of a good note. Kirsten Dunst has never been better. Kaylee Spaney is turning into one of my favorite actresses, and I was furious that some critics chose their personal politics over the quality of this film's storytelling. I say that as someone who started off this video pissed drunk about the election. Watch Civil War and make up your own mind.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line?
Number 4. The Wild Robot should not only be nominated for and win Best Animated Feature, it should also be nominated for Best Picture. Oh, I feel as if I'm betraying Guillermo del Toro by putting this higher than Flow. But the fact that we got 3 smart and well-crafted animated films this year speaks volumes to del Toro's message. With Disney resting on their laurels, every film studio decided to step up their animation departments. This couldn't be more true of DreamWorks, a studio that took what could have been a disposable piece of content with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and revolutionized animation by crafting a shockingly dark story of Puss in Boots quite literally facing his mortality head-on. The Wild Robot is the next level of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, as it tells a genuinely heartfelt story about a consumer robot becoming one with nature and becoming a parent to a gosling. It's also DreamWorks' most mature film since The Prince of Egypt. There is so much to love about The Wild Robot. Its lush scenery, its genuinely hysterical comedy, and scenes that genuinely tug on your heartstrings. Not just all of that, but this cast is the anti-Garfield movie voice cast. Every actor in this film is going for the goddamn Oscar. This is a rarity in animated films. I find it interesting that Ving Rhames is in both the worst animated film of 2024 and easily the best animated film of 2024. Seriously, Ving Rhames is more passionate about Arby's than he is about his cow wife in the Garfield movie. But in The Wild Robot, he is phenomenal. Lupita Nyong'o's voice is absolutely perfect for Roz, as it is both calming and gentle. I didn't realize Pedro Pascal voiced Think. He is that good in this film. Catherine O'Hara balances sentimentality and comedy well as a frazzled mother. That's what I mean when I say actors are going for the Oscar in this film. I mean, surely there's going to be something great coming from DreamWorks, right?
It's okay.
Go fuck yourself, Steven Spielberg, David Geffen, and Jeffrey Katzenberg. The following 3 films are going to be inducted into the Criterion Collection.
Yes, right. Should we do a little key? Should we have a little line?
Number 3.
It's so confusing sometimes to be a girl. They say we're alike, they say we've got the same hair. It's you and me on the coin, the industry loves to spend.
So, I didn't expect Charlie XCX's album Brat to be so prominently featured in this video from the bumper music and this intro, but having listened to Brat, it's an album that's messy and chaotic in all the right ways. It's an album that is so of the moment that famed music critic and pretentious hipster Anthony Fantano gave this album a 10. Side note, while you're at it, go watch the superior music critic Abigail DeVoe roast his ass for his god-awful review of Halsey's The Great Impersonator, an album Halsey made after receiving a life-threatening medical diagnosis. Margaret Qualley herself cited Charlie XCX as a primary inspiration for the character as Sue. To reword Charlie XCX's Kamala Harris endorsement tweet, the substance is Brat. Did you know that Universal Pictures was supposed to release this? Instead, they sold this for pennies on the dollar to Mubi, aka the streaming service your favorite film YouTubers shill for. Boy, are they fucking kicking themselves right now, because there's now talk of Oscar nominations. Keep in mind, this is technically a horror movie. Writer and director Coralie Farja not only went next level on this, she said, "I'm coming for the Nolan throne." Farja embraces capital M maximalism in a story with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer, but actually bothers to make it entertaining, funny, horrifying, and absolutely gorgeous to look at. Black Christmas 2019, Miss 8. Because I'm not a white supremacist dunking on the acolyte, I can't show you how genius it is that Sue's breasts are prosthetic when we are first introduced to her. This one scene does more talk about the male gaze better than the entirety of Katy Perry's embarrassing 2 minutes and 56 seconds of dated Hillary Clinton talking points, that is Woman's World, which by the way was produced by an alleged rapist and written by men. I'm a pop culture YouTuber. I'm contractually obligated to dunk on Woman's World. The Substance is a film that is so instantly iconic that there are 5 Scene of the Year candidates in this film. These are my top 5 Scene of the Year candidates in The Substance. Number 5, the Monstro Elisa Sue title card reveal. Number 4, the masterful use of show don't tell through Elizabeth Sparkle's star on the Walk of Fame. Number 3, Dennis Quaid eating shrimp like his life depended on it. Number 2,
Control yourself!
and my number 1 Scene of the Year candidate from The Substance is Elizabeth's date prep. Elizabeth's date prep is actually a genuinely gut-wrenching scene because it's universal to both men and women. In fact, it's my number 2 Scene of the Year behind What Kind of American Are You? It's that moment of self-doubt and self-hatred taken to the extreme where you think you aren't good enough. You don't feel that you deserve to be loved. You feel like you're just settling for someone. This scene alone should secure Demi Moore's Oscar nomination, which I really hope Demi Moore gets nominated for Best Actress for this, because this is the best role of her career. Margaret Qualley always came off as that girl you could bring home to mom, but as Sue, she turns into an immediate sex symbol. If Dennis Quaid is going to do MAGA propaganda for the rest of his life, then goddamn he went out on one hell of a final note. Quaid being a MAGA Republican actually enhances the role of Harvey, which I had no idea was his name until I read the screenplay. Seriously, Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid need Oscar nominations. Subscribe to Movie to fire this up. Can I have a sponsorship now, Movie? I practically endorsed you guys for free. Number 2. I was so fucking sure that Challengers was going to be my number 1 this year. When I sat down in the theater, I knew I was watching an instant classic. From Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's insanely awesome score that was so nice I bought it twice, to the star-making performances of Josh O'Connor and Mike Face, the latter of whom should have played Tony in West Side Story. Zendaya also proves that with the role of Tashi, that she is an actress that is here to stay. Fucking deal with it. Having seen most of Luca Guadagnino's work, Queer came and went in the Toledo area and I didn't get a chance to see it, I can confidently say this is his masterpiece. Guadagnino makes a compelling film about class struggle, the politics of celebrity, and it also features some stellar camera work, specifically in its spectacular third act. This is a film that is steamy without getting explicit. The way Tashi has both Art and Patrick wrapped around her finger makes for compelling viewing. Usually the blank time period earlier cliche is a sticking point for me, but here it is used masterfully, like a great game of tennis as the film takes place over the course of 3 years, as you see the ups and downs of the 3 main characters. I had a goddamn blast with Challengers, and it just reminded me as to why I love going to the movies every week. This is one of those films that will be talked about 20 years down the road. I fucking love this movie, and I can't wait to talk about it more. I'm purposely keeping my top 3 spoiler-free as possible. And my number 1 favorite film of 2024 is...
3 carrots.
What about 4?
You know I only want the best, it's true. I can't believe the things do for you what you won't do for love. Time for the big finale!
Sean Baker watched Scream 2022 and immediately decided to make a star vehicle for Mikey Madison, who prior to Scream 2022 was mostly known for being barbecued by Rick Dalton in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That instinct was absolutely correct, because from the first time you see her in Anora, you immediately become a simp for her. This close-up of Mikey Madison as the drop of the remix of Take That's Greatest Day reveals the Anora logo, followed in quick succession with her name, is perfect. Mikey Madison is my second favorite performance of the year behind Demi Moore in The Substance. Baker is mostly known for his oeuvre of films that take a sympathetic look at sex workers. But oddly enough, this was the first Sean Baker film I watched, and I was immediately interested in exploring his filmography after the fact. I seriously considered tying Challengers and Anora as my number one. But alas, one has to take the gold and one has to take the silver. It came down to a hair. And that hair was Anora hooked me from the first 20 seconds. I'm an evil cishet white guy. Show me some well-filmed titties and bisexual lighting and you have my undivided attention. But that's not why I was hooked. I was hooked as the grinding on strangers just seemed so routinely as strippers. Only Annie seemed like she enjoyed what she was doing, but at the same time there's a deep pain in her eyes. But another reason why I chose Anora over Challengers is simply how it balances tone. Imagine if Pretty Woman suddenly and immediately became Sleeping with the Enemy, and then all of a sudden shifts into the wacky screwball comedy tone of Runaway Bride, all within the same fucking scene. You would have to come fucking correct to pull this off. Sean Baker comes fucking correct. Even this technically wrong critical blurb in the trailer is correct. That's right. Vivian is technically a Disney princess. Without spoilers, the ending was so powerful that my entire theater sat during the credits and processed what we all watched. Well, except for the boomer couple that walked out halfway through. It's one of my all-time favorite theater moments. It speaks volumes that Anora was the United States' first Palme d'Or winner since The Tree of Life. Anora is a lot like the year 2024 itself. It was a year full of hope and excitement. It was the possibility of something new. But that hope and excitement comes crashing down the moment billionaire oligarchs come and fuck everything up. Enjoy the slate of movies in 2024 and 2025, because we may see the second coming of a new Hays Code, if not sooner. Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery, and Lionsgate have announced that they will be advertising on X again. The MPA congratulated Donald Trump and talked of partnering with him. I didn't see the MPA congratulating Joe Biden on his win. This concerns me as a film lover and a film YouTuber. We will probably never hear marginalized voices again. Hell, Disney and Pixar bent the knee and removed the trans character from their upcoming Disney Plus show Win or Lose. Anything Star Wars related will be scrubbed clean of its political undertones, which it had since 1977 in exchange for a waxy edgelord AI deepfake Mark Hamill circa Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker TV series, more than likely created by Star Wars Theory. There will probably never be another sex scene in Hollywood again, and if it is, it's going to be extremely chaste. Celebrities such as Melissa Barrera, John Cusack, and Mark Ruffalo may probably never get a prominent role in Hollywood again. Don't be surprised if they bring back Edward Norton or even Lou Ferrigno for Secret Wars. We won't see a film about a stripper finding love. We won't see an interracial power throuple making out. We won't see a wrongly accused black man take out corrupt small-town law enforcement by non-lethal means. In this era of media consolidation, movies are going to get safer and more four-quadrant. When Juror Number 2, a Clint Eastwood courtroom drama made for adults by adults, isn't safe from media consolidation, there's something wrong. We're going to get less Deadpools and more red ones. The election took place on November 5th. The same date V told you to remember in V for Vendetta. In V for Vendetta, V stood up to a tyrannical fascist government and died because of it. These death is now meaningless. We have now become what authors for literal decades have warned us about. We have now become the unnamed city in Fahrenheit 451. We have now become Oceania. We have now become Gilead. We have now become Panem. For fuck's sake, Donald Trump literally pitched the fucking purge.
If you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day.
All because you wanted to save 5 cents on gas and eggs. Hope it was fucking worth it. As I'm recording this, gas prices are $3.29. If I get thrown into the gulag for voting for Kamala Harris, just know that I love you all. Be sure to like, comment, share, spread the word of New Realms Media. Follow me on all my socials at New Realms Media. And until then, cue the painfully obvious Star Wars clip from Revenge of the Sith that proves Star Wars has been woke since 1977.
So go back to the club.
Yeah, I couldn't let my sign off end on a down note.